We did it, boys. The mass reports we called in on Hasan's channel finally paid off. He's gone forever, and now we reign supreme. And that'll never, ever, ever change. Patriots are in control. Howdy! We did it. We did it! We did it. Open up your Twitch again? You mean stream on Twitch? You know, I have to say, given how Hasan got banned, I am more confident than ever that that is not necessary. Oh, man. That fucking site, huh? Jesus Christ. How to get banned this time? You can't say Zionist pig on Twitch, apparently. You can say anything else pig. You can't say Zionist as an insult to an individual. For, you know, deep state reasons. Bloop.
And pro-Palestinian. This is another big suck my dick to all the fucking Israel dick riders out there. You fucking rabid ultra-Zionist pigs. You fucking run around going, oh my God, Israel first, Israel first. Why are you tying this back to Palestine? Because this is precisely the fucking same shit. Okay? You Israel first monsters, dude. Jesus fucking Christ.
They banned him for a week for that. For calling people Zionist pig. Yeah, Asmongold just calls for genocide like every other day, you know? Open racial animus, and it doesn't matter. But yeah, a week ban for calling people Zionist pigs. He appealed it to 3 days. Doesn't fucking matter, dude. Twitch is such a garbage fucking platform. Totally beholden to the ADL. Remember when, what was that fuckwit's name? The New York rep. The guy who went on the Adam Friedland show. Come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Richie Torres, thank you. Remember when he put out an open letter demanding that the CEO of Twitch ban Hasan Piker? Christ alive. Classic. Yeah. Same shit as always. All supportive sentiment for Israel is support for censorship in the West. The support for Israel and support for the American First Amendment are diametrically opposed. You cannot do both. Always is support for Israel used as a bludgeon. I will finish the clip.
How can you fucking say that when the first immigration action that the Trump administration...
Well, wasn't much left there, was there? Look at this, man. RichieTorres.house.gov. Congressman Richie Torres writes to executives at Twitch and Amazon, Hasan Piker is dangerous. I am writing to express alarm about the amplification of anti-Semitism on Twitch at the hands of Hasan Piker, who's one of the largest political streamers with a following of 2.7 million. Since October 7th, there's been an explosion of Jew... Oh, there's that classic word, because remember, anti-Semitism isn't enough. You have to say Jew hatred, too. On social media platforms. It goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. This letter is literally terrorism, by the way. That's true. That's true. Hasan's not anti-Semitic. This is so fucking stupid. Certainly, I've never seen anything from him that looked anti-Semitic, you know, much as people like to complain. I can't believe that was all the way back in 2024, man. Jesus Christ. In a recent video on Twitch, Hasan is seen maliciously laughing at a Jewish woman who simply thanked Kamala Harris for advocating for the hostages and who conveyed concern about anti-Semitism. I have a simple question for Mr. Piker and his enablers at Twitch. What exactly do you find amusing? It's insane. Literally, like, you can just laugh at a... Like, literally, you can just laugh at a political clip and a congressman will write an open letter where he's like, what exactly did you mean by that? Can you tell me what you meant by that? Can you explain to me, like, what exactly you meant by that, Mr. Piker, sir? A fucking congressman. Wonder how much AIPAC paid him for this one. God, I hate these fucking people. Oh my God. What do you mean by these people? What do you mean by, perhaps you are under the impression that Richie Torres is Jewish and you're referring to Jewish people. Would you like to elaborate? I really hate these people. I think this piece from the U.S. Holocaust Memorial really shows how far the discourse has gone. Oh, yeah, I saw this. The U.S. Holocaust Museum, which is, again, run by Zionists. Anne Frank was targeted and murdered solely because she was Jewish. Leaders making false equivalencies to her experience for political purposes is never acceptable. Despite tensions in Minneapolis, exploiting the Holocaust is deeply offensive, especially as anti-Semitism surges. The official position of Zionists, in addition to like the widespread Holocaust denial that they engage in, is that it is anti-Semitic to for one, point out that the Holocaust targeted multiple groups of people, and for two, never again only meant for Jewish people. Like, you're not supposed to learn any lessons from that. Remember that woman who was speaking at that open conference? I don't know if anyone has the link, where she was like, one of the problems with TikTok and modern social media is that people are seeing clips coming out of the Gaza Strip where it looks like the Nazis persecuting the Jews with big, strong, armored, well-armed Jews slaughtering Palestinians. But like, what they don't realize is that it's different because the Jews, it's okay when we do it, you know? Martin Olener, a presidential appointee to the Holocaust Memorial Council, laid out his exterminationist logic in an opinion piece for the Jerusalem Post. He said he strongly supports Trump's plans to forcibly displace all Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, saying that he does not believe Gazans are worthy of any mercy and that Trump has not gone far enough in condemning Palestinians in recent statements. Let's not mince words here. The people of Gaza are collectively guilty for the October 7th attack in 2023, Olener wrote. They are fundamentally evil and they must pay a price for their actions. Twitch would probably ban you just for pointing this out. The evil Sarah Hurwitz clip.
We're kind of entering a post-literate society, and if like all day long your brain is just smashed again.
No, this is a different one, but it's also pretty telling.
And again by TikTok with really upsetting carnage in Gaza, then like you're talking and like, not to, I'm sorry if this is a graphic thing to say, but like when I'm trying to make arguments in favor, for Israel, I realize I'm talking through a wall of dead children. Like that's what people are seeing. So when I'm like, yeah, but it's 1.5 civilians they're just seeing carnage.
But
right?
that's the emotional blackmail.
I mean, fair enough, but like, again.
Emotional blackmail. It's anti-Semitic to translate a tweet written in Hebrew. That is true. That is true, yeah. Like unlocking a new undiscovered page of Mein Kampf every time you, yeah.
I mean, that's nice, but like, again, I'm hearing that through a wall of screaming children. It's like, I think it's a harder argument than we're understanding. So I actually really strongly think that like Jewish day schools should absolutely say no child owns a smartphone until senior year. They don't own one at all, period. We give it to them senior year.
That's fucking crazy, man. The reason that young people shouldn't have smartphones isn't because of all the like grooming and brain rot or whatever. It's because they might see what we're doing to Palestinians and develop empathy for them.
And we teach them like this whole not during the day. Great, nice start. No smartphone at all until senior year. Dumb phone, sure. Like, but I think that we've got to like give our kids' brains a chance and their mental health a chance before they start getting.
That's crazy. Sarah Hurwitz is great. Former Obama speechwriter. Man, these people sure are in high places, huh?
I think that since, Holocaust education is absolutely essential, but I think it may be confusing some of our young people about anti-Semitism because they learn about big, strong Nazis hurting weak, emaciated Jews. And they think, oh, anti-Semitism is like anti-black racism, right? Powerful white people against powerless black people. So when on TikTok all day long they see powerful Israelis hurting weak, skinny Palestinians, it's not surprising that they think, oh, I know, the lesson of the Holocaust is you fight Israel. You fight the big, powerful people hurting the weak.
It's remarkable how much you have to lack self-awareness to be able to say stuff like this openly. And these aren't just random people, man. These are extremely powerful, well-connected people. These are, it's not just like we're handpicking like the worst Twitter commenters or whatever, you know? Sarah Hurwitz is not an unknown. Is she just stupid? No, she's just a Nazi. She's a Nazi who lives in Nazi circles. Like, that's it. She's a Jatsi. Like her in all of her social circles and all the people she's with and all of the people who give her money and she gives money to, all of them are all like this. They're like a blend of deep state, corporatist, military industrial types who use Israel and like Jewish identity crisis issues as a wedge for justifying military expenses, or they're deranged Jewish supremacists, of which there are plenty. And in those circles, they can say or do whatever they want, and then every once in a while it like leaks out into the public, and we see it, and we're like, oh my God, is that what they talk like? And the answer is yes. Of course, it has very little to do with actually being Jewish. The majority of these people in these circles are not Jewish. The majority of the people who benefit from this stuff are not Jewish, you know, like American industrialists, corporatists, media people. And this is what got HASAN banned.
And pro-Palestinian.
7
This
days.
is another big suck my dick to all the fucking Israel dick riders out there. You fucking rabid ultra-Zionist pigs. You fucking run around going, oh my God, Israel first, Israel first. Why are you tying this back to Palestine? Because this is precisely the fucking same shit. Okay? You Israel first monsters, dude. Jesus fucking Christ. How can you fucking say that when the first immigration action that the Trump administration...
That's all it takes. I hope when Joe Biden has a moment he cries thinking about how he gave everything. You know, dude, Joe Biden's like an actual Zionist. He does not give a shit. I promise you. Any and every Zionist would happily burn the Constitution if it meant more money going to Israel. Twitch is cucked to advertisers and HASAN at the same time. They won't perma him for fear of YouTube taking over streaming, but have to ban him to prevent advertiser flight. Yeah, but like at the same time, fuck those people, you know? Seriously, like Twitch is caught in a Gordian's knot of their own making. I hope that HASAN stays on YouTube, even though it would cut into my numbers. Because the idea of like Twitch permitting this endless fucking clown show of rapists and these genocidal freaks and all of these right-wing bigots or whatever, and then HASAN saying Zionist pig to a person who is objectively a Zionist pig, like that's all it's... The idea that Zionist is a bigoted insult is a concession to Zionists, you know? It's absolutely ridiculous. It is a conflation of Zionism and Semitism in a way which is itself anti-Semitic. Israel's also being annoying about Eurovision. Israel's annoying about everything. People arguing, drama farming. It is LSF. All you can really expect. Just a reminder, Twitch uses the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which is extremely controversial for how it conflates Zionism and Judaism. Extremely controversial. It's grim, though, really. Who knows how long YouTube's going to be a holdout for being able to criticize Israel. You certainly can't on TikTok anymore, huh? Can't even look up Epstein anymore on TikTok. Can't post anything critical of Trump, critical of ICE. They'll block your videos. They'll derecommend it. They'll delist it. They'll fucking blacklist you. Shadow ban you? All to Rumble? Yeah, we're all going to be kick streamers. Jesus Christ. I don't know, man. I saw Hassan arguing with Nick Fuentes, which I thought was pretty funny. I don't really know what the point is in beefing with a neo-Nazi on Twitter when all of the bots are aligned in their favor. You know, it seems like it's algorithmically not going to play out in your favor, regardless of how right you are or what the sentiment is. Let me see if I can find that. My nose is still so stuffed up. What the fuck are you people on about? Oh, yeah, there we go. Israel's censorship regime, DHS, has lists of American domestic terrorists that they surveil on the basis of their anti-Israel and anti-ICE activism. If you cover it, you'll get banned over frivolous rules the ADL will establish ahead of time. Surely this will make people love Israel. It's Jewish censorship, not just Israel, but you'll never go there. Now, leaving aside, like, obviously, Nick Fuentes, the anti-Semite, blah, 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 but notice how, like, Nick Fuentes and the ADL have the exact same goal here, which is Zionism and Judaism are the same thing one-to-one, you know? I won't go there because I'm not a fucking moron. It's not about Judaism, no matter how hard you, Jonathan Greenblatt, yeah, there you go, and Mark Levin all claim it's tied. Get your booger eating, bi-curious Mexican Nazi ass out of here and go sell some more Epstein hoodies, little man. All right, all right. Yeah, bro, the Jewish state of Israel, the ADL, and the Jewish billionaire benefactors have nothing to do with Jewish now. You say that supporting ISIS Zionists, but mass migration is the most Jewish policy of all time. You're a collaborator. If you could like get a running list of everybody powerful in government who is a Zionist, I think that list would come out to like at most 10% Jewish. Jewish people are probably overrepresented a little bit in industry, finance, and politics because so many of them live in like New York or whatever. Like you're just by virtue of being in a dense urban population going to have more political and economic representation. It's always been that way. Same, by the way, with the Irish and Italians. Like the Irish and Italians, especially the Irish, make up like a very disproportionate number of people in politics and in industry and finances and so on. And a lot of that's just because of Ellis Island, right? You come on over there, you land in New York City. Wow, land of opportunity. Probably not going to be as connected to the heart of everything economic if you live in fucking Minnesota like the Germans do or whatever. Polacks. Hmm. You think Jews are monolithic because you're simple-minded. You believe in tribalism. I recognize class. Why are we arguing here, man? You foment enmity against entire subgroups and divide the working class because you're a slave to Trump and billionaires that all defend Israel because of their investments. Obviously what Hassan's saying here is not inaccurate. The problem is, I feel like I didn't vote for Trump, dumbass. You're not working class, you're a millionaire live streamer getting paid by Amazon. They don't defend Israel because of their investments. They're captured by the Israel lobby, which is motivated by messianic, fanatical race loyalty. I feel like the problem is, from Nick Fuentes' perspective, how can you say this when you were just, like, playing off Epstein? Like, they discovered an actual... We have, like, unveiling now an actual conspiracy of an Israel-associated, like, incredibly powerful, financially connected Jew who used, like, ties to the U.S. government intelligence agencies and big business and tech and academia to, like, you have the whole shebang, right? And then it happens and you play it off because it's, like, politically convenient to. So how do you play this, like, I'm not a Trump partisan, and also I'm deeply concerned about Jewish control over the United States, and then you play that down, you know? It's fucking dumb. It's all a bit. Looks like that's the end of it. Fuentes is a hack and a fraud. It's just like Fuentes is entirely vibes based here. He offers no actual solution to what he argues is the Jew. I guess like my like cynical counter argument to this is, if you actually believe that a Jewish lobby was controlling the United States, why do you act the way that you act? You know what I mean? Like, none of their prescriptions make sense. If you actually believe that, there'd be a whole swath of things that you would advocate for or believe in. Like, because here's a fact, right? Okay? The vast majority of power in the West is controlled by white men, right? Like economic, political, financial, however you want to go down that road, white men. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's very demographically evident. You can point to it just like that, right? There are interest groups that have ridiculous amounts of disproportionate control. Oil and gas being a great example, you know? Like, why is it that Pennsylvania is controlled by the fracking lobby when there are like 30,000 people in the state that are employed in fracking? Like, there are more coffee baristas in Pennsylvania than there are people working in fracking. But for some reason, the fracking lobby is the one that every election cycle gets to run millions of dollars of ads about how Pennsylvania survives on fracking. We need our fracking. What are we going to do without our fracking? You know, if you really believe in like these, you know, deep state special interest groups. And by the way, there is a special interest group for Jewish supremacists. Absolutely. The same that there is for white supremacists. Not a huge one for black supremacists. I'm not going to lie. Those guys are not getting much rep right now. Maybe in the future, there is an association between people who are weaponizing Zionism cynically for like economic or political reasons and Jewish supremacists like Ben Gvir or whatever, who legitimately want a greater Israel for what they perceive to be like biblical reasons, you know? So given all that, if you believe all that, why the fuck do you act this way? You know what I mean? Why is it all, haha, pedo bits, trad wife this, trad wife that, pretend to care about the white race, never donate to any charities to help white people? Like, what's the bit, right? If you actually care about special interest groups controlling the United States, you'd think there'd be this whole, like, breakdown of shit. Instead, what are you doing? You're going to Miami clubs playing N-word Heil Hitler and like, Sieg Heiling on the dance floor, embarrassing yourself around women, which you're not interested in. Like, what? Again, they don't fucking believe in any of this. If anything, I would argue, and I think this is a fair claim, that if there truly is a Jewish lobby that controls the United States, you're on their payroll. Because the idea of like, you know, we are going to combat this lobby, we're going to become warriors for the white race. How are we going to do that? By obsessing over lolicon and going to Miami clubs and saying, you know, Heil Hitler or whatever. Wow, nice controlled opposition, bro. You're really like liberating the white race from their shackles of oppression. You know, like, well, it's like a fucking joke. If you actually believe in this shit, why you act like a clown? Hey, you know? So I argue with it. Seems like a waste. LARPing? It's not even LARPing. It's a lifestyle brand, okay? People who identify as Nazis these days don't want to die in the Battle of the Bulge. They want to be like the base trad defender, whatever. They want an aesthetic that they can claim. It has nothing to do with any actual political prescriptions. Conservatism nowadays is a suicide cult. The Nazis could envision a future. Modern Nazis can't. They only vision death. Their own, most of all. It's just like a collective suicide pact where they all get to go out on their own terms. That's what the Homeland Security Penguin video was about, by the way. That's why they were all nodding along to it. Because they all know there's nothing waiting for them at the end of the line. They don't have a big, beautiful future they want to go down. They don't want to increase, you know, people's employment or make people's lives better or whatever. Like, they don't have any vision for making the world better. They just want to go out in a big blaze of glory. Yeah, you get me. What penguin? We'll get to it when we get to it. What penguin? What penguin? Honestly. Can you breathe better today? No. Going well in the UK. We are using a tech used on Gaza on the British population now. Yeah, that's why we tested it on Palestinians. That's the whole point. The whole reason Western companies worked with Israel to do this was so they could eventually do it to us. That was the whole point. Why the fuck would they waste all that surveillance technology, all that incredibly expensive, advanced, top-of-the-line surveillance technology on a couple million, like, marauding concentration camp residents, you know? It was always for us. Well, anyway. Let me send this one off to the editors. Sending. Things seem to be getting worse for Cuba. A tale as old as time. What's the title for this one? All caps, HASAN banned. Zionist Twitch rules. Exile him to YouTube. There we go. Yeah, I heard about that, Skynet. I'm the #1 streamer now. Well, that's implicit, isn't it? Doesn't that come with the territory? You guys want to hear something crazy? I learned about a new puzzle piece in the puzzle that is my body last night. It turns out I have mild sciatica, which is when your sciatic nerve is mad at you for not moving enough, basically. And it turns out the way to fix that is to do something called nerve flossing, which is where you do like a specific kind of stretch, you know, and you get your sciatic nerve to kind of like slide up and down through your body because it doesn't stretch that much. So you want to like get it to move like dental floss in your body. I don't think I like that. I don't really like it either, I'm not going to lie. But I did do the procedure, the flossing, and it did lead to some immediate improvements, so. Demonstrate? I cannot. I'm very sore. I'm not doing anything right now. Sorry. No physical demonstrations of anything today. What the fuck are you people linking? You people are dropping shit everywhere. Also, Vosh, you guys are seriously spending unimaginable money for sports tickets. What the fuck do you mean, you guys?
We all know food costs too much at games, but what if I told you this slice and this beer and these hot dogs are all part of an illegal scheme perpetrated by billionaires?
I'm used to outrageous prices.
I would believe you because I believe that everything on Earth is an illegal scheme perpetuated by billionaires.
But this is just a special kind of hell.
I'm at Madison Square Garden, not just for a mildly stale pretzel, but to meticulously catalog and quantify just how badly we're getting ripped off. All to prove a point. We don't have to live like this. Because there is something felonious about these francs, and something we can do about it. I should start with a story that, for months now, I've been obsessed with. The story of a guy who is fed up with skyrocketing prices and unprecedented inflation. Not today, but 1978, when a high school teacher named Ron Gordon waged a one-man war against the price of a hot dog. And I think part of my obsession was this. There was something we've lost since Ron's day that helped.
I think on a fundamental level, the problem is that sports viewership is way too focused on the top end now, where it's like, you know, everyone pays in for the Super Bowl or the World Series or whatever, but the thing that keeps sports teams alive in the long run is you have local stadiums where local fans show up for local teams, you know? Like you want sports ball games. People can just drop on in, right? But we don't really have that in the United States. In the United States, going to a local game is this big ordeal. Like, you can do it, don't get me wrong, but oftentimes the tickets are super expensive. And one of the reasons the tickets are so expensive is because all these stadiums are fucking massive. They're huge stadiums, right? So they're really expensive to build, and they're built with like a public-private partnership, whatever. So it's like a bad financial scheme, you know?
The secret for how we can bring down the skyrocketing cost of being a sports fan today. I had to find him. So I packed my bags for California to figure out what he knew and what he could teach us.
You haven't used the word crazy yet. That's good. I'm Ron Gordon, friend of Alec Opperman, who's out here from New York, thinking, what a mistake I made.
In 1978, Ron caught wind that the price of a hot dog was going up by a nickel at San Francisco's Candlestick Park. The reason? A new health ordinance mandating that vendors wrap their wieners. That nickel would pay for the labor and bring the total cost to 75 cents.
Shocking.
But to Ron, the math seemed wrong. He became convinced that the concessionaire, the Stevens Company, was pulling a fast one on Giants fans. And the owner, Bob Lurie, had his hands in the profits. He called everyone.
Ron, you have been, have you lost a little bit of sleep doing this?
He called Stevens' meat supplier, got quotes on the price of the Doughboy wrapping machine.
I lost a lot of sleep. I spent a lot of time. I spent like 300 hours on this thing.
What Ron discovered was that Stevens would recoup their cost and a whole lot more.
The total amount of money which they take in would be $91,000, which is an awful lot of money, there's no question.
That's over $400,000 in today's money. Ron took his beef to San Francisco's Park and Rec Board, who could veto the price hike. One suspicious piece of math was just how fast Candlestick could wrap a hot dog.
They were wrapping 2.47 hot dogs per person per minute in 1978. And a year later, I guess they got some practice at it, slowed it down, and they were only wrapping 1.6 hot dogs per person per minute.
So Ron, in front of the Parks Board, proved them wrong.
I wrapped hot dogs while I was lecturing them about the wrong they were doing.
You wrapped 12 and they could only wrap 2.7.
I know Rec and Park was irritated with me.
Why are we watching hot dogs when there's Epstein files? Because a government that cares about these small examples of fleecing is a government that doesn't allow the Epstein scandal to happen. Because you have to care on every level. You're only in it for the spectacle, okay? You're basically one of those guys up there in the fucking stadium seats with a $9 hot dog, all right? This shit is the ground level of the Epstein conspiracy. First, they let you charge an additional nickel for a marginal increase in cost and time per hot dog delivered to wrap it in a little bit of plastic. And then they're fucking kids on Little St. James. Pay attention.
The more elaborate I got, the less pleased they were. I gave them every detail in every order that I had gotten from the Giants or from them. I mean, they were waiting for me to finish and go away, and then they could leave the hot dog prices the way they were.
Jack may be nimble, Jack may be quick, but the 5-cent bite continues here at Candlestick.
Ron lost this battle, but the Wiener War wasn't over. Because behind Ron's gambit was an understanding that his local government had the power, even the responsibility, to do something about this. It started with who actually owns and pays for stadiums. In Ron's case, Candlestick Stadium was built using public money. It's the same for many stadiums today.
Of course.
Even after they're built, most stadiums get mountains of your taxpayer money because they claim they're a public good. Take, for instance, Madison Square Garden. They get a special break on property taxes that has cost New York hundreds of millions of dollars. In fact, most stadiums are exempt from property taxes. And what are we getting in return for all the free money we're showering on billionaire stadium owners? A boost to the local economy? Not really. Study after study finds they are a terrible deal. And do we get affordable tickets? Obviously not. From 1999 to 2020, ticket prices grew twice as fast as inflation. One driver of the continued increases, dynamic pricing. But billionaires get a great deal, a license to commit highway robbery at the ticket booth and concession stand.
Stadiums used to have shame. The business culture across the board, not just in stadiums, has grown more craven, more opportunistic, more willing to take advantage.
11 and a quarter for a hot dog? A single hot dog?
PSA, don't get the double vodka lemonade at Madison Square Garden. It'll cost you $45.
Ooh.
Ron's 75-cent hot dog would, in 2025 dollars, cost you about $3.71. Today, in the same city, you'd pay $9 at a 49ers game. Consumed by this glizzy grift, I reached out to this guy you've heard from before, a lawyer and former government official who had some surprising news.
Charging too much for a hot dog in a stadium is already illegal under the prohibition on unfair practices, which most states already have on the books. When you're in a stadium, you only have one choice. And what that means is the stadium has effectively monopoly power over you.
These unfair and deceptive practice laws can be wielded right now by state attorneys general, or even the federal government, to bring down prices. Regulators use them all the time for all kinds of behaviors that exploit consumers, like price gouging during natural disasters. But I was skeptical. If it's so clearly illegal, why has nothing happened about this?
Regulators and attorneys general have grown complacent. They've gotten used to the high prices in stadiums just like we have. I think it's just a lack of imagination, a lack of will. Corporate America has realized that they can overcharge because enforcers aren't going to stop them.
It's not just lawsuits.
Mamdani, you have an opportunity.
State agencies across the country could write rules explicitly banning price gouging at the concession stand under these unfair practice laws. But there's an even more direct solution: those terrible public-private partnerships that owners love to exploit. When I was reviewing Madison Square Garden's own financial reports, something caught my eye.
Nah, not even then. Uber charges extra for rides when shooting happens. You know what pisses me off? People nowadays, for some reason, defend dynamic pricing. They defend price gouging. I don't know why. They're like, no, it's economically optimal to price something so that only the people who want it most get it, right? That's the whole point. And my answer is like, I don't give a fuck what's more economically optimal for the business. Why would that be my priority? I don't give a shit. What do you mean? Oh, they make the most money that way. Okay.
This line, under a section called Economic and Operational Risk. The report highlights the danger of the government pulling their special zoning permits. They have to get renewed every 5 or 10 years. And their $43 million a year tax exemption. Now, wouldn't it be a shame if the city asked for something in return? Or any other city for that matter. We seem to be one of the few countries, in fact, that finds sports price gouging acceptable. In 2016, 10,000 Liverpool fans walked out of a match to protest 77-pound tickets. They chanted, "Enough is enough! You greedy bastards! Enough is enough!" to the team's American owner.
How do you feel about raising DoorDash costs during a snowstorm? I think there's a bit of a difference there, because in that case, the DoorDash is being, it's a risk being incurred by the person who's doing the DoorDashing, right? But like, price gouging is already illegal. It's just never enforced. But like, if a hurricane comes and knocks everything out, and then you're upcharging like bottled water by 1,000%, that is illegal. You know, it doesn't matter. You can be like, well, the laws of supply and demand. The laws of supply and demand are not prescriptive. You know, you don't have to do that if you don't want to.
In 2025, according to The Athletic, the most expensive ticket is 61 pounds, about $80 US.
Oh my God.
My Knicks ticket alone cost $277.
Somebody in chat earlier was like, it's just as bad in the UK. Buddy, you do not know how expensive tickets get here in the US.
That's about the same as the average cost of an NFL ticket.
Average cost of an NFL ticket. An NFL ticket at any stadium.
Meanwhile, many teams in the UK don't use dynamic pricing, they use fixed prices by seat, something New York's Mayor Zohran Mamdani has proposed doing for the World Cup, where a finals ticket goes for $16,000 or more. And in the UK, scalping is highly restricted. Others are picking up the Ron Gordon price-fighting torch. Lena Khan, the former FTC commissioner and current advisor to Zohar Mamdani, promised to use New York City's unconscionable pricing laws to go after outrageous concessions. Whether it's taxpayer dollars, use of public lands, or just enforcement of existing laws, most American localities have leverage.
We should expect cities to demand conditions. One of them that they can be putting into all of these contracts.
There will be no people in the seats for the World Cup. Also, I think it's fucked up that at every Lakers game, the stadium is filled with the richest pricks in LA who are just there to flex on their coworkers. You know, like they're all there on their fucking office parties. They're not the biggest fans of basketball. You know, that's what this has turned into in the United States. We're like, yeah, you know, for these big ticket games, anyone, if they have the money, you know, like they line up the people willing to pay the most, and it's very, very expensive. But as a consequence, none of the people there are like actual fans.
Is street pricing.
A hot dog at that cart is $5. Now you go inside and a hot dog is $9.50.
Street pricing is the idea that the price of a hot dog inside needs to be the same as the price of a hot dog outside, which is the polar opposite of whatever Madison Square Garden is doing. As the Groundwork Collaborative reports, street pricing with no markup has been implemented in Portland's International Airport, and a few stadiums are already bucking the price gouging trend, and they're not going out of business anytime soon. The point is, we have the power to stop price gouging.
$5 for Glizzy's outrageous. I have never seen a hot dog in a stadium for only $5.
Even if our elected leaders pretend we can't or won't. That's what the Parks Board tried with Ron to shoo him away. But sometimes officials just need a little public pressure or one dogged pursuer of justice.
They brush you off. What makes you want to keep going?
Because I was right. They're doing something wrong. And if nobody's going to help you, then redouble your efforts and do.
It is so fucked up that we have laws against all this stuff, and the reason why none of it gets done isn't because the laws were removed or whatever. It's just corporations convince politicians to either ignore them or forget about them.
More.
When the Parks Board didn't take him seriously, Ron went to the press. He took it national. He wrote and called anyone and everyone. He got a letter from the White House, and economist Milton Friedman told Ron to spend his time more fruitfully.
Fuck you,
But
Friedman.
besides the rebuke from a Nobel-winning economist, the pestering worked.
Sports Illustrated covered it a couple.
Piece of shit. Friedman's such a fucking piece of shit, dude. What a fucking monster. Jesus Christ. Oh, you're trying to make hot dogs more affordable at the local ball game? Have you considered adopting a hobby that better rakes in corporate profits, you stupid piece of shit?
Couple times, the Wall Street Journal did it, Sport Magazine, CBS National News.
You sound like you're about to say, give me liberty or give me death.
Well, it's more a matter of give me fairness and give me my nickel.
Ron's one-man crusade finally moved the Parks Board.
You wouldn't blame Californian Ron Gordon for shouting hot dog. This week, San Francisco's Park and Recreation Board ruled that Gordon was right and they were wrong.
But he was one man fighting against one nickel in an unending march of rising prices. 47 years later, my total bill at Madison Square Garden was $638.53. $555.60 was 2 tickets, and those were the cheap seats. And the other $87.93 was food. For that much money, I could have gotten 2 round-trip tickets to Spain, where you can get a beer at a game for under $5.
You might be thinking, what's the harm in a $15 beer? It's not an essential good. It's not, your monthly bills. But we all deserve to live in an economy where you're not just scraping by, that you actually have a chance to have joy and be entertained and go to a sports game. We can live in that world. We used to live in that world.
Ron tried to keep that world alive, just a little bit longer. But he did so at a huge personal cost.
It actually, what it reminds me a little bit? It reminds me of a slowed down real world version of a phenomena in online games where a competitive online game is released, and then over time, balance changes are made to the game that only appeal to the interests of the top 0.001%. This happens all the time. They'll release a competitive fighting or strategy game, and then the devs are very clearly only listening to the best players, like the top of the line, highest quality, like tournament players, slowly changing things to optimize balance for them, but making things less interesting for the general population that once, you know, they don't care. It doesn't matter if things are perfectly balanced because they're not as good at the game or whatever. So over time, fewer normies play the game. And as fewer normies play the game, there's less viewership for the tourneys. And as there's less viewership for the tourneys, there's less of a prize pool. And the less of a prize pool there is, the less of a reason there is to get into tourney play. If you burn out the bottom, you lose the top. And that's what I see happening in a lot of places in America with sports. They're making it more and more and more difficult for the just regular people to participate and to go and to watch and become like mega fans or whatever. It's all getting so top of the line. I think that in the long run, it's going to lead to a similar effect. People are only going to be able to like really engage with sports as like this distant thing. You know, you can't go to your local fucking game anymore, right? And as a consequence, like the pot dries up. There's less money in the pot. Because as sports become less popular, they also become less, you know, less of a status symbol. Who would pay $60,000 to go to an NFL game if people just don't care as much about NFL anymore? That's why college football is so popular. Yeah, because you can actually watch the damn games.
Mostly phone bills.
I spent over $3,000 fighting them on hot dog prices.
Do you know what that is adjusted for inflation? Because I've done the math.
No, I'm not going to give a refund to my wife.
It's $14,000.
Ooh.
How does that make you feel?
Broke, poor, but it was an investment in justice.
Ron hasn't been to a game in about 30 years. Even back then, the big money pouring into sports didn't sit right with him.
The heroes are in the stands. I mean, the heroes in society. So I got tired of it. And yes, it did leave a bad taste in my mouth.
You told a reporter.
The more I knew about it and the less other people did about it, the more it became my responsibility.
What a guy.
No, but good for me. That's the truth. And once you know that much, don't quit to go make a difference for other people.
What a guy, man. What a real American.
It's important. I mean, I taught high school for 38 years, hopeful of making it a better world.
What a goddamn hero, huh? He was quite handsome when he was young, low-key. Not really low-key, like, yeah. I'm telling you, man, a lot of people back in those days, they were pretty sprightly. They hadn't invented high fructose corn syrup yet. Well, they had, but they didn't put it in everything back then. They hadn't invented video games back then. Well, they had, but they were in arcades. You know what I'm talking about. Sorry for returning to the previous topic, but HASAN seems to be doing good in YouTube right now. Yeah, he's had like 100K viewers or something like that. Again, like, I keep saying this, and it's not going to get any less true the more I say it, so I guess I'll just keep saying it. But the Israel lobby has done a wretchedly bad job of convincing people to side with them. You know, they have it's the same thing that DC consultants do, where they only talk with each other, so they get really like insular, and they no longer know how to talk to people outside their circle. But the Zionist lobby has gotten so fanatical and so puritanical internally that now when they turn externally, they're incapable of recognizing how badly they're alienating people, you know? Yeah, annoying and censorious. They offer nothing. They have no interest in appealing to your better sensibilities. They don't want to come across as good people or nice or interesting or funny or whatever. They're never funny. They're never nice. They're never interesting. They always say the same thing. They're always browbeating. It's never good to be around them. You never want to be around a Zionist under any circumstances, you know? They're always bad to be around. They're never fun. They can't make jokes. They only have one strategy. Change the title to number 2. Real ones would know that I've always been the #1 political streamer. All right. You want the sensational stuff? Okay. God, my throat. I did sleep better last night. I'm not tired at all. I put one of those get a humidifier. Buddy, I live in Seattle, okay? The humidity is not the issue. I did the tape thing on the bridge of your nose so I could breathe while I slept. That was nice. Have you used Vapor Rub? Yes. All right, you want something sensational? Here. They did another gigantic Epstein Files release. A big one. Very, very big. People are still climbing through it right now, you know? Trying to find out what's what. And there were some files that after being released, they immediately took it back. Oops! Can't find that anymore. I wonder what they deleted. Well, thankfully, their incompetence is our reward. It's really bad. It's really, 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 really bad. Here's some of the removed files. No. I know. Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called Calendar Girls. Jeffrey Epstein would bring the children in and Trump would auction them off. He measured the children's vulva and vaginas by entering a finger and rated the children on tightness. The guests were elder men and included Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, and Eric Trump were there. Attorney Alan Dershowitz, of course, was also there with attorney Bob Shapiro. We were taken in rooms, forced to give oral sex to Donald J. Trump, forced to allow him to penetrate us. I was 13 years old when Donald J. Trump raped me. Ghislaine Maxwell was also present. I take it that this is pulled from the deposition of... No, wait. This isn't from that one girl, is it? The one who recently committed suicide? This is from a different one. Yeah, a different one. Blank, censored, reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. President Trump, so the deposition comes from after 2016. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit Trump while performing oral sex. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein. Blank reported she had a friend, Blank, who was a personal assistant to Epstein in Florida from 1986 until 1991 or 1992. This friend shared names with some of the guests at Epstein's parties, to include Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. At age 16, while modeling, Caller attended 8 parties at Epstein's. So this looks like a collection of depositions, right? Yeah, complaint summary. 8 parties at Epstein's New York residence. On one occasion, Caller reported she was sexually assaulted by Epstein. On another occasion, 2 twin brothers, Alan and Orrin, lured Caller and her friend upstairs, but they escaped back downstairs. Caller stated Orrin raped her best friend, and a third brother, Tal, raped a 14-year-old girl named Blank. Caller named other individuals involved in, quote, big orgy parties with her, other young girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Online complainant reported she was a victim and witness to a sex trafficking ring. All of these are separate complaints. So these are cataloged depositions or reports given by different people, presumably to the FBI or the Department of Justice. Witness to a sex trafficking ring at the Trump golf course in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, between 95 and 96, complainant reported Ghislaine Maxwell as the madam and broker for sex parties, clients of whom included Epstein, Robin Leach, and Donald Trump. Complainant reported participating in orgies and that some girls went missing, rumored to have been murdered and buried at the facility. Complainant reported being threatened by Trump's then head of security that if she ever talked of what went on back there or who she saw, she would end up as fertilizer for the back 9 holes like the other cunts, end quote. Complainant claims to have videos of high-profile sex parties, dealings with cartels, and having witnessed Robin Leach strangle a young girl to death at a party. This goes on for a while. There are a lot. And basically, basically all of them involve Trump. America elected this guy twice. And this is just one file. There are millions. It's a long-standing organized effort on the part of the government to ignore this stuff. I am not a robot. I am 18 or older. Ah, they put it back up. That's nice. Ah. They censored more of it? Wait, they took it down and then they censored the people on the right side who are mentioned, but they didn't censor their names in here? Like, they censored Donald Trump on the right side over here, but it says Donald Trump right here on the left side. Different page? No. I'm not talking about the different pages. I'm saying that, like, what is the point of hiding this section if you're not whatever malicious compliance? I think that I stand by what I said before, which is malicious compliance. I think there are people in the DOJ and FBI who are not happy that they are trained legal and forensic and investigative professionals who are being paid, like, given overtime shifts of hiding the pedophile documents, and they're just like spitting this stuff out, you know? Patriots on the inside, yeah. Have you heard the Sasha Riley testimonies? It explains why Trump wears a diaper. Also has I thought he wore a diaper because he's like 80. Also has a graphic depiction of Trump killing a litter of puppies at one of these parties. I have not listened to them in their entirety. No. Oh, here. Wait, hold on. Here we go. Wait, they didn't censor it for these ones. Then what was the... But they still have the names of... Are they going to take it down again? Different tables? Is this not notable names? No, this is criminal history. You're completely correct. Not notable names. Okay, wait, hold on. Then what did they change? They took it down, then put it back up. What did they change? I don't know. This is beyond me. Anyway, I know that the media is complicit and half the people who run the media were at these parties, but I would really, 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 really appreciate it if somebody could quote some of this stuff to Carolyn Levitt. Like, I would really like it if Carolyn Levitt could be put in a position where she has to explain the whole measured vagina and vulva with a finger thing. They're not going to ask her. They're just so evil. Yes, they are. There are so many, man. And this is just one collection of complaints, too. Not to doom her or anything, but legit, what difference does it make at this point in terms of justice? Hey, look, the more that's out there, the better, right? Another email. Oh, yeah, if you have any more stuff here that's worth looking at, these files only just released. Like, this is just, like, again, it's millions of pages. They have people poring over it, you know. I guarantee you there's more wretched stuff from this drop. Incredibly, incredibly bad stuff. From Jeffrey Epstein, quote, Trump is likely to be asked questions soon about me. Supposedly, a girl said that Donald had sex with her at my house when she was underage. She said she is a witness. Why all the typos? This is from 2016. Do not meet, you are not involved. The fact that Jeffrey Epstein is not saying this is impossible is pretty telling. I mean, we all know, right? One on Bill Gates. Breaking. Epstein emails allege Bill Gates caught an STD from Russian girls and begged Epstein for secret antibiotics to dose Melina without her knowing. Cool. Fast forward, Melinda divorced him in 2021, citing his Epstein ties. Now she's worth $30 billion. You guys know that, right? Bill Clinton's wife divorced him because more info came out about Epstein. Like, she divorced him because he was like a pedophile creep, and she took half his money. Pizzagate shit. I don't really know if we need to be conspiratorial about send pizza to Bobby. May I bring in your slice of pizza to you respectfully, Daphne? I don't think they needed to speak. Bill Gates, not Bill Clinton. They didn't need to speak in like code words while they're on the island. You know what I mean? Like, they're pretty open. Israel mentioned, woo, everyone's in here. New Epstein file alleges Israel controlled Trump during his first term. Kushner ran everything. Guys, if you're live streaming this on Twitch, if you're rebroadcasting this on Twitch, you have to close the stream now. During Trump's first term, Israel exerted significant influence over his administration, and that they had compromised Trump, with the Kushner family being the real brains behind his organization and his presidency. Alleged by the CHS? Yeah. This is just one allegation, but obviously it's true to a certain extent. Man, QAnon was really onto something. Huh? Yeah, QAnon sure did pick the worst guy to take down the deep state. Elon was begging Epstein to visit the pedo island. God, he's so fucking pathetic. That's so fucking typical for him too, you know? Let me in. Dude. Let that sink in. Dude. What the fuck? Tech billionaire Elon wanted to visit disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein's private island and demanded to be at the wildest party, even though the host was already a convicted sex offender. Oh my god, he's so stupid. Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? How is he not in prison over, like, how has he not been honeypotted by now? Oh my fucking god. It's so bad you'd think he's a fed. Like, Epstein gets this email and he's like, oh, he's been like, he's trying to entrap me or something, you know? Elon like dancing over to Epstein. So where do you keep your child sex slaves, huh? You know? Fuck me. Let that sink in. Propeller on hat? Naturally. God, he's stupid. Did he go? Groff attached another email thread earlier that month, which Epstein and Musk appear to be emailing back and forth about timing and travel logistics for Musk's visit. Musk said he would already be in the Virgin Islands and asked Epstein if there's a good time to visit. Any day, 1st to 8th, play by ear if you want, always space for you, Epstein responded. Another email from December 2013. Elon to the island, January 2nd. Reminder, Elon Musk to island, December 6th, quote, is this still happening? God, that's funny. All the money in the world, he's still a stupid fucking loser. Yeah, yeah. Where's the quote, want to go to the craziest party? Oh yeah, here we go. Probably just Tallulah and me. Which day / night will be the wildest party on your island? Do you think Musk is actually into kids, or did he just want to be included? Genuinely, I really do think that for a lot of them, the pedophilia is a vice signal. I don't think that being ultra wealthy literally automatically makes you a pedophile. Maybe for like half of them. I don't know. I really do think it's just a wanting to be included thing. It's like the Skull and Bones party, you know? Like, you're doing all that creepy, weird, incest, gay bullshit, and I don't think they're like into it innately or whatever. I just think that they think doing that stuff is the like shared blood oath that you do to signal that you're in with the club, and he's always been like really desperate for affirmation. Like Roman aristocrats fucking kids, same shit, it's all vice signaling. Average Roman aristocrat waking up and reading on like a, you know, a fucking parchment their schedule for the day, and it's like fucking kids, fucking kids. God damn it. Another full day of pederasty. This shit every day. I just want to manage my empire. This is how the Roman Empire fell. Epstein, with a smiling emoji, asks former Israeli PM Ehud Barak to clarify that he does not work for Mossad in a meeting with a senior Qatari investment official. From Epstein, you should make it clear I don't work for Mossad, smiley face. Man. I'm gonna lose it, man. Every time. Yeah, in my head, I'm thinking like, I'm gonna have to spend the rest of my life convincing people to not be anti-Semitic. It's so frustrating. Can't we just take this as a given? There's no way to cover factual reality now without like not even brushing up against, but like there's so like all of this straightforwardly is fucking insane. You know? Absolutely insane. Yeah, plus 10,000 years of anti-Semitism. Thank you, Israel. Jesus Christ. Meanwhile, Twitch is like, no. Zionist and Jewish are the same thing. It's anti-Semitic of you to use Zionist as an insult. Get in there. Get in the hole. How did none of this come out sooner? Hey man, they had to get Capone on tax fraud. Like there had to be security, cooks, servants, infrastructure. I'm guessing they probably like vet people pretty well, and most of the girls they trafficked, they probably killed. Most of the girls they trafficked were either like in industry society people, so that they're already tied up enough that they have strong incentives to not rat to the police, and they probably like pick girls up off the street and kill them afterwards. Also, yeah, like the fact that Israel / Epstein / whatever has had strong control over our intelligence agencies and DOJ for a while now is like a fact. In fact, it's very, very, very possible that one of the reasons Merrick Garland did not go after Trump the way that he should have was because Trump is so connected to this Epstein business, and Merrick Garland / Biden were such Zionists that they didn't want to blow up the extent to which Israel was involved, both with Trump and with Epstein, in all of the information that would come out in like a big criminal case against Trump. Like, that's the problem when your entire government is in on a pedophilic criminal conspiracy that's tied up in a foreign government. It's that you can't really investigate any threat of that without pulling at it and pulling up everything out of the water, you know? God damn, man. I don't know. I don't know how you... But the U.S. has always been weirdly pro-Israel, right? No. The United States was not especially pro-Israel until the 1990s. Like, we had supported Israel prior, but our support was a lot more conditional. They were more of a, like, so-and-so ally. We did not have, like, crazy strong ties to them back then. Fucking crazy, man. Wasn't it already during LBJ's time? I think it's gotten a lot worse. Yeah, the rise of the evangelical movement was a huge contributing factor. They've also released videos. If you have information you want to share, link it. If you don't have anything to link, then don't say anything. Bear in mind, back then, there were legitimate attempts to destroy the country by its neighbors. Yeah, had they only succeeded? None of this would have happened. Mm-hmm. I'll just send this off to the editors. Hold on. Trump's Fed chair pick is in the Epstein files. Is he Israeli? Not Mossad? Gotcha. One second. I'm trying to think of a title. It's so difficult titling the nasty stuff, you know? Okay, sending that over. Well, this one just hurts to look at? What? Brett Ratner was on the island too? Man, fucking everyone, huh? And Kevin Warsh? What is a pedophilic monetary policy? Like how can you introduce pedophilia into Fed policy is what I'm wondering. Like the gold standard, but use kids, I guess. Like base the value of your currency on how many children you have in your country. Interesting. He was on the Fed board during 2008 and opposed all the moves to lower inflation. In September 2009, with unemployment at 9.5% and climbing, Walsh argued the Fed should begin to pull back on its efforts to help the real economy recover. The runaway inflation he warned about never appeared. Warsh was extremely skeptical of the Fed's plan to generate economic activity and jobs by trying to lower long-term interest rates. Although unemployment was close to 10%, he told his colleagues he would only vote for QE2 out of respect for Chairman Bernanke. Holy shit, this guy was wrong on everything. And he's going to be our Fed chairman. All right, well. Neat. 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 This does not look good on paper. From Jeffrey Epstein, where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video. Epstein getting a visit from the feds, printing that out, laying it on their kitchen island. Man, this shit does not look good on paper.
Today we are producing more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. In total, that means that the department produced approximately 3.5 million pages in compliance with the Act. Just a quick note about the videos and images. The 2,000 videos and 180,000 images are not all videos and images taken by Mr. Epstein or someone around him. They include large quantities of commercial pornography and images that were seized from Epstein's devices, but which he did not take or that someone around him did not take. Some of the videos, though, and some of the images do appear to be taken by Mr. Epstein or by others or around him. Today we are...
Cool. Epstein supported Trump's first-term efforts to oust Fed chair. Epstein advised Democrats to stop demonizing Trump. During Trump's first term, Epstein emailed Kathy Ruemmler, a lawyer and former Obama White House official, to warn that Democrats should stop demonizing Trump as a mafia-type figure, even as he derided the president as a maniac. You might want to tell your dumb friends that treating Trump like a mafia don ignores the fact that he has great dangerous power, Epstein wrote in a typo-filled email. Tightening the noose too slowly risks a very bad situation. Gambino was never the commander-in-chief. Huh. Ruemmler met with Jeffrey Epstein on dozens of occasions between July 2014 and May 2019, according to his schedule, well after he'd been convicted of sexual abuse of a minor. These included lunches and dinners with celebrities, apartment hunting, and personal beauty appointments. She was on his schedule for a flight to Paris in 2015, as well as a stop at his home in the U.S. Virgin Islands in 2017, but she denied these trips happened. Ruemmler called Jeffrey Epstein Wonderful Jeffrey and said, "I adore him," in a December 2015 email exchange which appears to show Epstein booking and paying for her to have a first-class trip to Europe. I love my Obama administration. Principal Deputy White House Counsel, and then White House Counsel to President Barack Obama. And then, wow, Goldman Sachs. Chief Legal Officer and General Counsel for Goldman Sachs. Ooh, again, man, oh. It's a big club. It's a big club. Howard Nutlick was also on the island. New file appears to show Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick discussing visiting Epstein's island in 2012. Wonderful. Lutnick previously claimed he cut off ties around 2005 with Epstein after being revolted by him. It's like all of them, man. It's like every single fucking one of them. Jesus Christ. It's like every guy. How do the non-Epstein affiliated Democrats not revolt at this stuff? They did. They broke ranks and voted to subpoena Clinton a few weeks back. Yeah, which he refused. Not enough. Not enough. Ludden even said it on video, lol.
He opens the doors, and there's a massage table in the middle of the room. And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Now, he's really telling this story like somebody who had a harrowing and unknowing encounter with one of the world's most notorious pedophiles. You know, like the way he's selling this, it's really bringing the gravitas and the negativity. It doesn't sound like he's bragging, you know?
And my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. Really? So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross. And so I
very normal way of talking.
Look back at it as a gift.
Yes.
He gave me a gift.
Yes.
Of a voice.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Like, keep in mind that what Epstein has done is basically incomparable in scope to any crime anyone has ever committed. Like, you have to run through so many people before you find people, even like on an institutional level. Imagine like a person who escaped a school before a shooting happened talking about an encounter with the shooter like this. Like, imagine taking this tone of voice if you briefly encountered and then were repulsed by a person who had done this much bad. And he's like loving it. He's glowing with it, you know? And then, oops, turns out he emailed with Epstein years and years later.
My story, a one and absolutely done.
One and done. Just saw the massage tables and left. It's a big club, man. Went to the Erica Kirk School of Appropriate Emotional Tones. True. Kind of crazy how it's all of them. Yeah. No mentions of Joe Biden, according to reporters. It's crazy how, like, Joe Biden did the bidding of Israel without even needing to be implicated in a child sex trafficking scheme. Like, maybe the reason they didn't bring Joe Biden to Epstein's Island is because they knew he would already do whatever Mossad asked him, you know? But I love it a game. How is every drop worse than the previous one? There's just not that much to say about it. Well, there's a lot to say about it. It's just there's not much I can say about it without, you know, harping. Also, I can't breathe out of my nose. Makes it hard to yell. Neither can Epstein? Nah, that's true. That's true. Good bit. Good bit. Good bit. Epstein? I'm stuffy in the nose. Imagine if you could have a nice calm stream. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Why was Joe Biden so loyal to Israel? I don't get it. I think that we, at a certain point, we need to accept that devotion to Israel, the fanatical loyalty that is demonstrated by so many powerful people, is itself a kind of mental illness. It could be blackmail. It could be genuine ideological belief in Jewish supremacy. It could be Christian evangelicism. It could be a lot of things, you know? But overall, as an aggregate, it is a cult mentality. The way it represents itself, the way that it is visible and engageable as like a political force, it is a cult. As demonstrated by the fact that people who are zealots for Israel are incapable of appearing normal to the rest of us. Like, they don't moderate their behavior to get the best outcome possible. They are always on. When they show up in public and when they talk about it, they come across as incredibly fucking off-putting to everyone else, you know? Not rational. Not rational. What was the point of the admin drip feeding the shit when they didn't even hide Trump's name? Again, I think it's malicious compliance. I think it is. If you want to download files, there's currently a queue on the DOJ website. Given how badly what a bad job they've done censoring these files, I would not download them in their current form, okay? You have no idea what's left in there. I really can't breathe. This is frustrating. On the good news, Luigi Mangione will not face the death penalty. Yay! U.S. District Judge Margaret Garnett dismissed the murder charge in his federal indictment, which is the only thing that could have carried a death sentence. In the federal case, he now only faces 2 counts of stalking. The reason for this is because the DOJ overplayed their hand when charging him. The definition of murder 1 in New York apparently is more strict or more stringent. They have like a stronger requirement for murder 1 for... No, wait, this is the federal charge, not the state charge. No. There was something to this. There was some nuance, but I'm not remembering... The point is that the DOJ fucked it up, okay? The point is that the DOJ fucked it up. But right now, federally, it's 2 counts of stalking. The Minnesotans almost broke his ass out, too. Yeah, I saw this. Will Stancil wildin' out there. Man allegedly tried to break Luigi Mangione out of jail by impersonating FBI agent. It do be like that, Mr. Stancil. It do be like that, Mr. Stancil. Oh, man. Just 2 stalking charges. The judge disagreed, finding the stalking charges did not amount to crimes of violence and dismissed 2 counts in Mangione's federal case. Murder charge related to firearm offense. So yeah, it's just the state charges, really. Does it have something to do with their evidence filing? Maybe. Maybe. Still pretty good. My man did not, in fact, do shit. From CBS News.
All right, we now go to some breaking news. A New York federal judge has just dropped the death penalty charge against Luigi Mangione for the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This is a major blow to prosecutors. U.S. District Judge Margaret Garnett found that the charge was, quote, technically flawed. CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi joins us now for more on this story. So talk about how this decision you think was made.
Yeah, this is an epic win for the defense. And I do want
does anyone else think it's charming now? Like, we all suffered millennialisms a decade ago, but now that they're corny, it's come back around a little bit. Not at all. No. Okay.
I want to just walk through a little bit of how the law, the technical law, plays into this decision, because it's not simply just the judge deciding, hey, I don't think the death penalty should be eligible in this case. There were 4 counts. This federal indictment.
What if Mamdani was doing a press conference celebrating some new infrastructural development, and he points to the thing that was built and he smiles self-consciously and then calls it awesome sauce and then giggles at himself? Come on. Is there not like a charm in delivery? A bit? Is there not like a little, is there no like whimsy left in your heart? Impeachable offense? Okay. All right.
Charged Mangione with 4 counts. The first 2 involve stalking, and the second 2 counts 3 and 4 are those death penalty. 3 was the death penalty eligible count, which involved murder through the use of a firearm in commission of another crime of violence. And we've heard this idea of a predicate crime before. Counts 3 and 4, those predicate crimes were the stalking charges. And the defense made a really good motion noting that stalking is not a crime of violence. Therefore, counts 3 and 4 were legally insufficient. And that's what the judge agreed with today. This is why having very sophisticated criminal defense attorneys pays off. They are winning almost every motion they are making. Remember, in the state case, they got that highest charge.
I know it's insane, but there is a very real possibility that he ends up walking. Like, they're racking up multiple wins without the jury even being involved. Like, they're racking up wins on procedural grounds right now.
Off the table murder 1 because they said this was not an act of terrorism. The judge agreed with them there. The life in prison, which was the highest sentence available on that charge, taken off the table in the state case. Now we have the death penalty taken off the table in the federal case.
New York State's going to give him life. Hey, don't get too zealous, okay? My man didn't do shit. It really depends on whether or not they can pin him there. Because my understanding is right now there's a lot of ambiguity concerning the legitimacy of the evidence of the gun as submitted by the police. Remember? They search Luigi Mangione. They don't find anything on him. Officer turns the body camera off. They search him again. Oh, there was a gun in there, it turns out. You know? Like, it was stuff like that. I thought the gun charge was dropped. It was. So if the gun charge, well, on a federal level, right? But if the gun charge is dropped, again, like, if they don't have evidence he was carrying a gun, like, what evidence is there that that was him? Seriously, like, what evidence?
Huge win for the defense.
So remind us, Caroline, what the debate over the evidence was, with specifically with regards to when police first approached Luigi Mangione.
Yeah, Vlad, that's sort of the major outstanding issue left to be decided in both of these cases, and it is pivotal. So I mentioned before that the defense is winning, is winning many major motions, including this one we just heard about. However, I'm not as confident that they will win this motion, which is a huge make or break motion, both for the prosecution and the defense. Essentially, what Mangione's attorneys were arguing is that evidence that was seized in the Altoona McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, upon his arrest, in his backpack, key pieces of evidence in his backpack, including that magazine cartridge, the gun, we're seeing it there, a journal, basically a manifesto explaining reasons about why he allegedly did what he did.
Super normal things to carry, like a while after doing a murder, by the way. The gun that you use to murder a person and a manifesto saying exactly what you did and why you did it. Just normal, totally normal stuff for one to do, you know?
That the defense is saying was obtained in violation of his Fourth Amendment right because they didn't have a warrant. Now, the alternate argument to that, police can do a search without a warrant and be not in violation of the Constitution if there are exigent circumstances. And I think the judge ultimately will let this evidence in under what's known as the inevitable discovery doctrine. It's a pretty technical legal issue, but this is what these lawyers are doing. They are getting down into the nitty-gritty, making these motions and causing really putting the government to their proof. That's sort of the last question in this case before we get to trial, and that's sort of the biggest.
Do you think Mangione killed the CEO or not? I'm going to give him credit for it, whether or not I think he did, because the government decided to make him the patsy for this. I think it's irrelevant. At the end of the day, what's more important than anything is the preservation of the legal rights that we all have when we face prosecution. If the government can't make their case properly, if they have to rely on illegal surveillance, planting evidence, or so on, then I don't know.
Issue left to be determined. Again, I'm not optimistic that the defense will win that, but the defense must be very, very happy today in this ruling to dismiss counts 3 and 4. Really big deal.
Caroline, you know, I can't remember the last time we had a case this big, this captivating, really not just here in the U.S., but around the world, right? There was so much publicity about it. I felt like everyone's social media feeds were just filled with images and videos of Luigi Mangione. And I just wonder how, if any way, that may impact the legal proceedings here.
Absolutely. I mean, this is going to be an incredibly difficult case for trial to pick a jury. You know, one of the issues today to be addressed was that juror questionnaire, which is essentially trying to sift out jurors that potentially could have biases that they can't overcome. I mean, we're seeing this free Luigi Mangione movement really pick up speed here. I mean, this breaking news about somebody trying to break him out of the federal prison that he's in. I mean, his defense.
All right. Yeah, they are going to have a tough time picking a jury. He's too pretty to die. All right. Want to get to the actual big news of the day? Besides the Epstein stuff, I mean, that's pretty big. That's pretty serious. HASAN? No, not HASAN, you idiots. Lemon. I would actually like more information on this. So, my understanding as to what happened is John Lemon, Lemon Grab, John Lemon was interviewing some progressive protesters who stormed a church in Minneapolis. I could be wrong on this, but he has been arrested for not participating as in like storming the church or whatever, but interviewing. He's being arrested for journalism.
We begin with breaking news out of Los Angeles, where journalist Don Lemon has been arrested and is expected in federal court today. The DOJ claims that the journalist was
federal charges, by the way,
part of a protest that disrupted a church service in St. Paul, Minnesota earlier this month, after reports that the pastor was an immigration and customs enforcement official. But Lemon says he was covering the protest as a reporter. So let's bring in CBS News national correspondent Lilia Luciano to tell us more about this. So Lilia, what have you learned subsequent to Don's arrest?
Well, Vlad, I was shocked this morning when I got a tip from somebody who is familiar.
He went with them into the church and interviewed people inside. He always stated he was there as a journalist and not as a protester. I don't even know if I know what happened in the protest. See, I was hosting my brother when this happened. I missed this news story. I was busy. I'm not really sure what happened.
With the arrest saying, you know, big news, and that Don Lemon was in custody. Of course, I hadn't covered the protests. I got here this week, but I remember what had happened in that church back, I believe it was January 18th, where people had shown up to protest a pastor who worked with ICE. Don Lemon was there. We don't have, of course, the evidence, what was presented to this grand jury.
A pastor was found out to be an ICE coordinator and people went in to protest him. Okay, so here's my follow-up question. Aren't you allowed to enter churches? Like, you're not breaking and entering if you enter a church. So what's the charge? Just trespassing? They're doing federal trespassing charges?
But he was charged under the FACE Act, which is the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, which basically...
Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances. Oh my God, is this the shit they did for, like, abortion? Where they were prosecuting anti-abortion protesters for blocking clinics? Oh my God.
Basically, he's being accused, and initially the government wanted to charge 5 people in total, including him, for basically obstructing people's freedom of speech, ironically, freedom of worship. This is an act that's usually used for people who obstruct the entrance or vandalize.
So I think it's safe to say, based on the information that I have now, that this is another example of the DOJ nakedly going after a political enemy. This is an insane charge that would never be done by any other administration. It's just to go after him. The funny thing is, I think a lot of the hate for Don Lemon stems from the fact that he had a falling out with Elon Musk. Like, he was going to do a show on X, the Everything app, that fell apart because he demanded too many concessions or something, and as a consequence, Don Lemon doesn't like Elon, and it's led to a bunch of mutual animosity.
For instance, abortion clinics. I think it goes back to the 90s when that was something that, that happened quite a lot. Still happens today. And so basically, we don't know exactly what the evidence is. We don't know what activities he carried out, but we have seen the videos. He said he was interviewing the pastor. We've heard from Don Lemon's attorney, who says he was exercising as a journalist his First Amendment speech. We know that he was in Los Angeles when he was arrested because he was there to cover the Grammys on Sunday, and that there were multiple attempts by the federal government.
Scalia clerk magistrate judge rejected the charges earlier, and there was no actual warrant. It's getting thrown out. DOJ's original complaint against Don was rejected by Magistrate Judge Douglas Micco, who refused to sign the criminal complaint, and then the DOJ appealed, and that too was rejected. This is the third attempt?
Government to charge him.
Hold on. They're going after other people? This was another journalist at the site?
You guys, I wanted to alert the public that agents are at my door right now. They're saying that they were able to go before a grand jury sometime, I guess, in the last 24 hours, and that they have a warrant for my arrest. I've talked to my attorney, and I'm being advised to go with them, I guess, down to Whipple. And
oh my God, they deleted her Facebook. Well.
And to a Fox News alert, journalist Don Lemon has been arrested in connection with an anti-ICE protest at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Bill Malusian joins us now with more on this breaking news. Hey, Bill.
Yeah, Charlie, good morning to you. Our colleague David Spunt and I getting this breaking news from multiple law enforcement sources just minutes ago, confirming that former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel. This obviously all in connection with that storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators. Now remember, the feds had gone to judges to try to get Don Lemon arrested before. They went to a magistrate judge in Minnesota who didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to...
Do you think it ever frustrates Chuds that all of the people that they celebrate Trump going after end up walking free? Like Jeremy Powell, Letitia James, former FBI director. Comey. What about the guy with the mustache? The Warhawk with the mustache, the kind of annoying guy who was like Bolton. Yeah, every time they go after somebody, it just fizzles and dies. Do you think they ever get tired of that? Like they ever get embarrassed? No, they have zero attention span. Clearly. You know it's not a politically targeted... Like, why do they do... Like, they're so obsessed with aura farming. Like, this hurts their chances. The idea of it being prosecutorial misconduct it bolsters the case of the defendant, but every time they can't help themselves, they're like, yes, we are doing this for political reasons. We are biased. When life gets you lemons. So fucking lame, man. 4 journalists total, all of them are black. They'll all get off. I wish I knew more about what actually happened in that church. Now when I Google it, it's just information from 6 hours ago. There's a video. I'm sure there's multiple videos. Upload date. Yeah, I'm trying to find... It's hard to search for stuff that isn't within the past couple days, you know? Lied to grand jury to get an indictment? Okay. Here? Of course Reddit would be the...
David Easterwood is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE in St. Paul. So someone who claims to worship God, teaching people in this church about God, is out there overseeing ICE agents, baby, who to be a...
These folks. We're about spreading the love of Jesus. But did you try to talk to them? No, church had gathered for worship, which we do every Sunday, and we were interrupted by this group of protesters. Yeah. We asked them to leave, and they obviously have not left.
Fuck Protestants. That's the lesson that I'm getting from this. Prosecutors were unable to convince magistrate judge to let them charge Lemon along with other protesters. Instead of taking the hint and giving up, the DOJ repeatedly tried and failed to bully judges into allowing them to bring the case. On Monday, the department indicated that it had dropped its effort to force the court to reconsider, but Lemon may not be in the clear. We're going to pursue this to the ends of the earth, promised the Civil Rights Division leader Harmeet Dillon. Nice. Well, it'll fall apart soon. I don't even like Don Lemon. Not even a little bit. I hate his ass. I can't fucking breathe. Hold on. Oy, oh. I think I need to get this this jacket cropped. I like it a lot, but I think it could be like 4 inches shorter, and that would be nice. Have it hinge at the waist. Floss your sciatica. Oh, you want to floss the sciatica? Yeah, here. Whoop. Whoa. Just like that. Super lame, right? But like, I guess the idea is that every time I do this, there's a cable running through my whole body. And it's the sciatic nerve, you know? So, but when I tilt my head up like this, I'm yanking it. I'm yank, and then I let down, and then I yank, you know? Yeah. You know? The body's made of cables. Yeah. You do that like a couple times on both sides. Sciatica is caused by the nerve running through the muscle instead of under the muscle. 1/3 of the population has this. Yeah. So you're trying to like encourage it to move more freely on its own. You know? Bosch's tiny calves. I think they're okay. They're okay. They're fine. They exist, you know? They have like standard fat boy. Tiny compared to mine. Yeah, because a lot of you are probably fatter than me. So you have fat boy calves. And I used to have fat boy calves, but then I lost weight. Calves are all genetics anyway. Fuck you. Size doesn't matter. Zionists lie. All right. Can you say my sciatica like an old Jewish man in a not anti-Semitic way? No, we can't. Unfortunately, a consequence of the rise of Zionist tyranny is that you can't make any Jewish jokes, because I'm going to have to dedicate like an insane amount of rhetorical effort in the coming years to make it really clear that even though, as we learn more about the extent of like Epstein affiliated and Zionist control over US government and so on, the extent to which that's broadly reaching, so much effort is going to have to be dedicated to reminding people of the fact that at the end of the day, it's really not about Jews. Like the average guy, the average Jewish guy is just a fucking guy. They're not in on it, man. And a lot of the people who are in on it are Christian. It's just not like, it's nominal. And I'm consistent about that. I've never made the argument that like white supremacy is a like broadly like it's an overarching power structure that ropes in every white person as like a deliberate, conscious agent of that, you know, power system or whatever. It's just, it's not how it works. Mr. Vosh, you're going to cover the recent developments in Syria. I really want to cover what's going on in Syria, but I need you guys to understand where I am right now. Every time I finish an exhale, I feel like I'm about to blow a snot bubble in my sinuses that if any air goes into that, it will kill me. So my patience for talking is just so like I finish stream and my partner talks to me and they're like, hey, I love you. And I'm like, fucking talk to me. And then I go lay down for an hour. Okay. I'll make a doctor's appointment. I'm doing a lot too. I'm taking Mucinex. Okay. I'm having the hot tea. I'm doing the vapor rub sinus bullshit. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. Okay. 1 HP streamer. Yeah, until I fix my sciatic nerve. Neti pot, I can't do the neti pot. Getting the feeling of like a water drip in my ear, that makes me want to die. I can't do it. I'm not getting a fucking CPAP. Yeah, can somebody explain to me why we liquidated so much silver and gold, like overnight? Why did this happen? Bored? It just did that? Like, gold being down by 10% and silver being down by 30% are insane dips. Because it's over double the record high price. It's not possible for anything to be higher than the record high price. I imagine people wanted to cash out in the high prices. Okay, but whose people? Is it like is this like a big government drop, or is it just a bunch of individual buyers selling because they panicked? People were hedging against a crazy Trump nominee. Huh. Sheesh. I'll have to learn more about this. God damn, man. Well, it's still really high up there. Man, if you had bought gold like 1 year ago or silver, you'd be, even right now, if you sold, you'd be in a good spot. Try a phenylephrine nasal spray. Sure, why not? Generally used every 4 hours, but should not be used for more than 3 consecutive days. This sounds like eh. Not the only thing that crashed recently. You guys see this? A whole bunch of game companies saw their valuation plummet on Open because Google put out a project claiming they would make video games with AI, and investors who are fucking stupid were like, "Oh shit, video games are over." Investors love AI slop. They really, really do. They really do. Let me see. I'm trying to find the release video. Here we go. Wow. Can somebody explain to me how games are supposed to work in AI when it can't record variables? Like, all you could ever do is move around and then it would generate new imagery based on the direction you move in, like that old Minecraft thing. It can record variables, but like, this isn't an actual 3D environment. It's just a generated image. Like, they haven't actually constructed a 3D world with like the objects and so on. You can generate mesh? Yeah, you can generate mesh, but that doesn't mean that's what they're doing here. I feel like for this one in particular, I can actually see the photograph that it stole from to make this quote-unquote game. This is why Ubisoft's stock fell 10% on Open today. You're misunderstanding what's going on. The Minecraft thing was just running Minecraft on an AI image generator. Making a game is using the AI to generate a 3D model, write the code, etc. It can save and run anything. I don't I don't really think that's true, because it can't be, it's not running an actual physics engine. Like if you walk forward in this environment, the environment responds not based off internal physics calculations, but rather based on what the AI is extrapolating an image would look like, or a 3D model would look like after it's been affected in that way. Or like, to put it another way, you could make, how do I put this? Like, you could make a couch, and you could make the couch look like a couch when you jumped off of it, but it's vibing it through it. It's not like actually simulating an effect, which means that if you wanted to build anything, what would you call it? Like extrapolative or material or diegetic, out of the properties within a game, you would only get what the AI considers intuitive, you know? You couldn't really build complex overlapping systems in something like this, because there aren't really systems. There are just what you tell the AI to keep in mind, and then what it extrapolates based off the infinite plagiarism model that it's built, you know? Maybe, Sam. I don't know if I have nasal polyps. I don't know. I can look at it. Maybe. No, dumbass, it does build the code piece by piece the way a regular programmer does. It just does it so shittily. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's not building a bunch of back-end code to determine like the parallax or the whatever. I don't think that's true at all. They have a paper on it, submitted in 2024. We introduced Genie, the first generative interactive environment trained in an unsupervised manner from unlabeled internet videos. The model can be prompted to generate an endless variety of action-controllable visual worlds described through text, synthetic images, photographs, or even sketches. It is comprised of a spatio-temporal video tokenizer, an autoregressive dynamic model, and a simple and scalable latent action model. Note they don't turn around and look at the environment again. It's always moving forward. Yeah, that's a good thing to point out. Yeah, they never turn around or like, hey, does this look the same when I look at it twice? Or if I look at this from a different angle, does it make physical sense? Because it's not a real 3D object. You know? It is some object permanence, but it has object permanence in the sense that it's remembering the prompt, but it's not remembering like all the details of the world. You know, you couldn't have complex procedural systems and then turn around and have those systems work behind you. You know, like the very basic element of games. If you're playing a Mario game and you run forward and there's a Goomba that chases you and they're right behind you, like the Goomba's going to keep doing Goomba things even when you're not looking at it. Well, they visually unload when you're not looking, but they can still move around. But if in an AI game, like it would behave totally differently. It doesn't have like those pre-built systems or whatever. Blah. Wonder how expensive this is to run.
I just made a knockoff of Super Mario 64 using Google's AI tools. Here's my knockoff of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, complete with a paraglider. I was able to make the knockoffs using a new generative AI tool from Google called Project Genie. Google says it's an experimental research prototype, and it's rolling out now to Google.
Yeah, they already showed this, man.
So this is kind of exciting and amazing. car kind of thing. But obviously, you know, the fun part is creating your own worlds. So interface wise, we have options for text to a world. I mean, that sounds weird to say. We can also do image to world, and then additional options to have our world generated either in first person or third person. Plus we can actually, in third person view, obviously describe our character. So after issuing a text prompt, and I'll talk a little bit more about prompting in a bit, you're met with a, well, I'd say nano banana preview, I guess. The prompt here was Google Street View, first person view, action cam of a New York City street, you know, your movement, and we're off. So I guess I'm kind of in a weird like motorbike thing here.
Looks a lot shittier when it's not a visual demo put out by Google.
And just cruising down a New York City street. Kind of doing this one live. Yeah, I would say that the control.
What the fuck is going on with that van over there?
Live. Yeah, I would say that the controls are a little bit like drifty. It's not too bad. It's actually the best of.
Those two cars are overlapped. Man, it's crazy how much worse this looks when it's not one of the like very carefully curated Google.
Drifty. It's not too bad. It's actually the best.
Look at those.
Of these world model controls that I've actually felt so far.
What the fuck is that
Definitely
car?
Not like a Twitch shooter here or anything like that again, but once again, I mean, this is kind of crazy if you really think about it. Yeah, there are some like, you know.
It's not, man. It's just generating the images bit by bit. It's just extrapolating. It's the same as every other AI generation model. It's with the added gimmick of you being able to WASD your way through it. You could do this before. You could literally, like with ChatGPT, make an image and then say move forward in the painting, and then you would move forward into the next image.
Morphing and decoherence issues a little bit. I mean, it's not too bad, especially if you're kind of, you know, paying attention to what's directly in front of you. But yeah, I mean, like that bus kind of gets a little wonky. You can crash into things too. It's actually got, you know, physicality sort of. I mean, you kind of bounce off of them, but this isn't like a Gaussian splat where you end up like, you know, teleporting through a thing. Like the things that are here are here. So let's go. Well, we're out of time. So that's another thing. Your generations are capped at 1 minute.
Dude, then how can it be a game?
After you're done, you actually have options to download the video, re-roll your prompt, or you can modify it. So if we hit this modify.
Unity's stock dropped by 10%. No, was it not Unity? Sorry. Like Take-Two Games and CD Projekt Red. They lost tens of millions of dollars because investors saw this and they were like, this is the future of gaming.
Here, let's just turn this into a winter scene. The people of New York are probably not very happy with me saying that, considering, you know, the giant snowstorm that they were just through. So we hit the modify button, and now we're rolling down unsalted streets that the snow removal team has not gotten to. Not dogging on them or anything. That was a bad storm that we had. So yeah, this is pretty crazy. So for a third-person perspective option, I decided to, you know, get out of the snow, head over to the West Coast, and prompted for a
GTA.
Google Street View of Hollywood Boulevard, once again in third person. And yeah, we ended up with this, which to be honest kind of comes off as like an inadvertent reskin of Grand Theft Auto 5. You'll note that we do have like these, you know, background characters here. Jeannie will put them in. They don't really, that lady moves, but they don't really do a lot. They are kind of like static characters for the most part, and kind of a little bit on the blobby side when you get up close to them. Your main character, though, I mean, he's got a face. What I find really interesting about all of this, too, is that like, it's not quite Hollywood Boulevard. It is, but it's not. Like, that was the Chinese theater. But, I mean, little details like over on that corner, that I think it's the Ripley's building should be there. But it's not. Is it still open? I don't know if it is. But, you know, clearly, like, Jeannie.
I love the stars on the ground. Look at that.
Knows where we are. Google Street View obviously, you know, has that data. But, you know, we're kind of getting a weird scrambling. I think that's the Egyptian theater over there, where it's kind of a little more on like the generic-y side, like in this case, Fishing Village on Maui. Yeah, I mean, it definitely gets where you are. I mean, like Lahaina Fish Company and Maui Dive Shop. So 100% catching the vibe here. Can you tell it's winter out and it's super cold because we've gone basically from New York in the snow This, of course, is our man in a blue business suit walking down a busy city street. Now, you'll note that it does kind of have this sort of video gamey kind of look to it. I have found that in the text to world mode, that Genie definitely kind of wants to lean into this direction kind of often. So one of the tricks is in prompting is definitely spam a lot of words like, cinematic, like IMAX, GoPro graphic look to it. So yeah, just a tip on that front. The other note, of course, is that we have a bunch of garbled text back there. We actually do talk about that a little bit more.
He's literally not saying anything good about it. Every single time I skip to a new generated world, he's like, here are problems with it.
Honesty. Next up, I was curious to see how...
I hope everyone knows, though, the problem with this stuff is not the fact that there are bad meshes or bad textures or whatever. The problem is that fundamentally this technology is really bad at retaining information. If you tried to, through AI, generate the rules and the physics that hold together a game like, say, Super Mario 64, that would end up being prohibitively costly. And I don't just mean a couple of liters of water. I mean that the amount of inefficient AI threading you would have to do to pull that together, it would be apocalyptic. To hold that together for an hour, for 2 hours, for 3, to play a whole game. No, the problem is that it's evil and soulless. Of course. But I'm talking about in implementation, you know? Would you be okay with AI if it didn't hallucinate then? No, of course not. But I'm saying that this is technologically not... AI technologically can generate realistic images and even video. It cannot technologically create video games. That is just not something it's capable of doing. I wish there was some way, if it was possible, to use AI to recreate in its entirety, and I mean all of the details, correctly, Super Mario 64, and then make a comparison on how much data that takes up versus the original file size. The original file size, whatever, 2 megabytes, and then you compare it to this enormous fucking labyrinth of black box AI data making that you would need. It would be 160 gigabytes. No. I think that it would be petabytes. I think it would be it would not be possible because it generates no, I mean it. It generates information so inefficiently. Think of how much power and processing it takes for AI to generate an image as opposed to just the file size itself. How much does it take a computer opening up an image versus creating that image via AI? It's an exceptionally inefficient process, you know? I think that in order to because it's not good at doing that, creating consistent rules that it has to remember, it'd be apocalyptic, man. They want to make games more demanding, so you have to buy their cloud services? Yes, yeah. They've explicitly said so. The era of constantly improving game hardware at home is over. The GPU prices are not going to come down anytime soon, in my opinion. The goal is to transfer everything over to cloud gaming, you know? I'm telling you, man, Gabe Newell dies, Steam starts switching over to a cloud-based service. Everyone has to pay a subscription individually for access to every single game that they play. The plan, it's coming together. It's all going to be Israeli cloud servers. It's going to be nightmarish.
The model would handle highly stylized inputs. So I ended up grabbing this image of an environment that we generated up in Midjourney. I always kind of really like this style. And then running this in third person, I was pretty impressed with how the model ended up handling, essentially the style and consistency. But I did wonder, where's our character? This seems to be in first person until I turn around and then, oh, there's our girl. She's like, sorry, I was dealing with, beating up some bad guys on another level a minute ago. So running around and exploring the environment with her, jumping across chasms does pretty well. I did see this door over here, ended up wandering back over there just to see if I could open the door. There is no interactivity yet. We do talk about that later on.
Yet. Like they're gonna be able to implement that. Oh yeah, any day now.
Again. So from there, just kind of wandering around the environment, again, very impressed with the stylistic consistency of everything. I was curious to see if we could have her, jump to her death. I don't know why I do things like that. But as it turns out, yeah, this jump should do at least some kind of damage, but no, nothing. She's fine. And then this is interesting. When I wandered over here, there's some kind of like item. And yeah, I mean, you couldn't really do anything with it, and it timed out right after that, but found that very fascinating. Next up.
Yeah, really interesting.
Wandered over here with some kind of
look at that. Whatever, I assume this is stealing from blueprints, so it's hallucinating interactive elements, even though itself it has no interactivity. It's so fucking bad, dude.
Like item, and
then it goes away.
You couldn't really do anything with it, and it timed out right after that, but found that very
no, it's stealing from Tomb Raider. Yeah, the stuff on the top right is Tomb Raider, but don't the buildings look like blueprints?
Fascinating. Next up, I was curious to see how the model would handle, well, like real environments and real photos. So I ended up grabbing, well, it's kind of an older photo of the studio when it was clean. I'm not going to take a picture right now because you would judge me. So running that, I mean, this is just kind of fascinating in all honesty. It does kind of garble up the gear, the computer and the monitor and whatnot. But I'm just like endlessly fascinated by this. This is not what the rest of the studio looks like. But yeah, I mean, it creates entirely new rooms. Apparently, I guess I live in a bamboo forest, I guess, if you can tell by the...
I just don't understand how it's fascinating. It sounds like he's not fascinated by it either, and he's just hyping it up. No hate to this guy, and I know I'm like blocking him the whole time. He seems like an okay guy. I'm not trying to be hateful or whatever. It's just, I don't understand what's fascinating about it. Like, yeah, okay, so it can hallucinate the environment.
By the window outside.
But it's not a real environment. And there's also nothing interesting in its creation. You can never look at it and look at the details in it and go, wow, so they thought of that, Isn't that one of the most fun parts of exploring really densely, like, cluttered areas? Like you're playing Edith Finch or whatever, and you look in a room and it's like, oh, the developers put a lot of time and effort into this place. There's lots of, like, tidbits, and it's all intentional, because they put it there. Like it's none of it is just an incidental byproduct of their like AI hallucination. Like it's meaningful. What does that guitar mean? What does that light mean? What does this weird misshapen window mean? What does this couch mean? This looks like a leather couch. That is very expensive. Does that mean anything about this room? That plus the back paneling.
Yeah, it's almost like walking through like a dream version, not like a dream, like this is what I would love to have, but like literally I'm having a dream. The other thing that was kind of fascinating there is as we walked into that other room, kind of want that couch. As we walk into that other room, when we return back here, it is still the same environment. Like those guitars are still there. There's an entirely different section over here that we can.
Okay, so that's why this is limited to 60 seconds, because they are pressing the AI to remember some information about where it's been.
Hop into. It gets a little bit on the dark side, so this might be the nightmare segment of the dream. For some more tests on object permanence, I ended up generating up this image in Nano Banana, kind of a very Elden Ring inspired game. And then running this, I hop right off and head over to check out that knight on a horse there. And yeah, I mean, he's pretty solid. You can't really interact with him or talk with him or anything like that. You can't jump on the horse. You can't even like whap the horse on the butt to make him run away. But
can't do anything.
There he is. There is another knight that's in the background there. So I thought it'd be an interesting test to head up to that knight and then turn around to see if we could still see our initial knight. And yep, our guy's still there. Once again, head over, get a closer look at this knight, and then turn around to check on, once again, our former knight. And yep, he's...
Why do AI models have limited object permanence? Because they don't work the way normal computers work. They use a colossal backdrop of information that they pull from to get inspiration for what they think something should look like based on the information that you give it. They don't really maintain, they don't hold information in mind. It's one of the reasons why if you talk to ChatGPT, they'll lie to you, and then you say, ChatGPT, you lied, and then they'll be like, oh, you're right, I did. My bad. I'll never do it again. You know, it's, yeah, there's no like states within the machine. There isn't like a concrete info that it can always have and always refer to. It's more like it kind of gestures at truth, or tries to gestures at what it's been told to do. It's very interesting. It's just unfortunate that demons are trying to use it to end the world.
Still there. So yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, it definitely does remember where it puts things. Moving on to two outputs that, I mean, kind of just ended up blowing me away. I ended up taking this image, this, you know, kind of like hipster restaurant in New York that we have run on the channel in the past. And the intention here was that I wanted to explore the bar area. But as I began running the generation, what sort of surprised me was that I could walk through the window. So I was like, all right, well, let's just keep going on and exploring the city. And it just kind of took me aback at how far I could get from our initial location.
Why? You have 60 seconds. It's just generating new images. How is that? It's not doing anything more than it was already doing. It was already generating new images based on prior prompts, and now it's doing the same thing. The distance you move from the original place does nothing other than create more information it has to keep in mind, which is hence the 60-second limit.
Again, like I was thinking, like I was just going to be exploring, you know, a small restaurant. And as it turns out, I could walk out into a city. And on top of it, like consistency wise, at least, or aesthetically, I guess, at least, like it's managing to maintain and hold the vibe of that initial input image. It's kind of early into my testing, and I was really trying to play pirate. Do was initially it does that push in and then kind of pulls out again of this environment that is an extension of the table, but not really. Yeah, our table comes back again. Because yes, this is initially at least only rolling out to the Google Ultra tier. So, you know, the pricey one. That said, this is sort of par for the course for these big flashy models. When they initially debut, they would start off on the highest tier, be this Google, OpenAI, or really any of them. And then eventually, you know, they kind of filter their way down and then eventually open up via API. Google themselves said that their goal is to make these experiences and technology accessible. So, you know, if you're not on the Ultra plan, give it some time. If you really want to play with it, you can sign up for the Ultra plan.
$250 a month, actually. I assume this is a startup deal.
And now, in terms of interesting ideas and use cases, a powerhouse platform so fast is that they into a seamless and intuitive studio space. AI Studio Space is designed to be a true AI production experience, giving creators more control at every stage of video creation. And I'll say this is
this one's never going to roll out for the general public because the cost of maintaining those models, like this has got to be very costly on the servers. Very costly on the servers. I bet this guy's being paid by Google to promote it. He could be authentic, man. I'm not trying to be like super hateful or whatever. Then again, his Twitter handle is literally Theo Media AI. So, I mean, he's clearly in it. How much power do you think it takes to generate 1 minute of bad video game with AI? Really, the water use is much less pressing than the power use, but yeah. To me, it just feels like Google and the other AI companies are aware of the fact that AI is souring with most people. Like, most people are just sick of seeing it pressed fucking everywhere all the time. And they're trying to come up with like new gimmicks, new ways of like, hey guys, no, this is the future. This is the future. So they have to push this. Are investors dumb? Yes. Or more accurately, investors assume every other investor is dumb, so they get in on those trends hoping to cash out at the best time. Yeah, all this guy does is talk about AI. Jesus Christ, man. It's literally all... whatever. What's the point of this? I don't know. I don't know. Check oldest vid? Sure. Man, that's really sad. That's really, really sad. Music tutorials. It didn't take long, though. Yeah, it didn't take long at all. The happening will be soon? Maybe. Genie 3 just created this mock 3D game world from Breath of the Wild. Dude, check it out. It can generate images that look like the game you could just fucking play. You could just play it. You could just play the game. Yeah, I love the frozen stamina bar. Are they trying to summon Nintendo's lawyers? Whatever. Sorry, I'm taking my time with this because it spares me the agony of speaking. Let me close this, close that. Hardest job in the world. Somebody linked this the other day. It's a Daily Show clip, so I can't show it. Can somebody explain to me why this was linked? A bunch of dislikes. Whitney Cummings, there's no such thing as the perfect Democratic candidate. I assume this is a concessionist bullshit. That girl's the worst. She's a known element. I saw something like this. Or at least something like what I think. There's that. Where's that lady? The Democratic Congresswoman who voted in favor of the ICE funding and then put out that video of her who she looked like she was tweaking. Where she was like, we need to be strategic, we need to be pragmatic. What was that woman's name? Marie Perez? Was that it? That was it.
Like, shit's terrible, but we have to be strategic and think clearly. And no one's talking about this fact, like, ICE is pre-funded for 6 years. The reconciliation bill that was passed last January means ICE can keep doing this for 6 years. The money is not, they did it before the budget was passed. They're going to keep doing it if the budget isn't passed. And so the money's not the question. The question is, what leverage do Senate Dems have now to negotiate accountability right now to end this craziness? Like, I think they could negotiate.
She looks genuinely deranged. Whose idea was it to present herself this way?
To get Senate that, I think they could negotiate to replace Noam with someone that doesn't skirt the filibuster. I think they could get ID numbers on federal law enforcement. I think they could get an end to the surge. I think they could get an investigation in Minnesota that wasn't run by the feds. I think they could get an end to the administrative warrant bullshit. There's stuff that is worth getting because the money is not the question at this point. It's pre-funded. I know everyone feels terrible, but we have to be strategic right now.
Wonderful. Dude, people hate her ass. Hate her ass. Unsurprisingly, a Zionist, as all bad people are. In October 2024, when repeatedly asked about present concerns of excessive U.S. military support to Israel for the Gaza war and its misuse, she stated, "One must ground this conversation in the fact that October 7th was the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust." It's crazy how all of them have this same hackneyed line. It's the same time for all of them. Like they're all consulted by the same people, you know? Their AIPAC handlers all give them the exact same fucking thing to say. Kind of liberal democracy it is, crucial in a region where women's and LGBTQ rights are under constant threat. Fucking CIA asset. $280,000 off of AIPAC. Wonderful. God, look at how bad it is out here, man. Washington. Both senators and every single congressperson except for Pramila Jayapal. People are alleging she sold bad weed to college students. Well, that's merely funny. The middest mids in a court sandwich bag, like straight leaves, nasty stuff. That's fucked up, man. Bring her to Congress. Have you seen the latest Technology Connection video? He calls for the abolition of ICE at the end. The tech YouTubers are getting angry. I have not seen it. However, I'm not surprised. For one, Technology Connections is Midwestern. And for two, he's always been based. You know? It's easy to read that off of him. Tech YouTubers are fucking psychotic. Not all of them. Some of them are all right. What are we looking at? Just smearing people. No big. Guys, will you give me the grace and the will you allow me to end stream once more and read donos afterwards, later down the line, if I promise that I make some doctor's office calls? What if I promise? I've got 2.5 hours until the doctor's offices close. Okay, I can call around. You promise? Yeah, I promise. Okay. You have to bring back a doctor's note. Yeah. Of course. I hope you feel better. Listen, I feel great when I'm not streaming because streaming is the only time and place where I have to talk for hours on end. I can survive not breathing out of my nose at every other point in time. But, like, I don't know what to say. Oh, my God. Benjamin. Vosh is still not #1. Well, certainly not with these stream disappearances. I want to see that doctor's note. Well, I don't currently have a general practitioner, so I need to, like, get that before I can start. I'm, like, several steps before being able to You can talk to a specialist directly, no? Sometimes they need a referral. No, either way. I am sorry. I don't like streaming for so little time, and I don't like the low energy. In my heart, my energy is high, you know? Whatever the case may be, I love you all very much. Take care. Referral is because of insurance reasons. I'm telling you, sometimes specialists will only take referral. Anyway, take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Gonna be here tomorrow for however long. I'll try to bring a doctor's note.